All right, I will start. So hi everyone. Really glad to have you here for this presentation on Better Together using NVivo and Citavi. And thank you, Adam, for TQR for inviting me to present. I'm happy to make this interactive. I'll be showing you the softwares. If you have questions, I'll stop at certain times, give you specific questions about the different software, and of course at the end I'll take questions. I mean, feel free to put them in the chat at any time. And then, it's great if people unmute themselves too and ask questions maybe at the end for that. So with that being said, I'm going share my screen. And I'm just going to start here. All right, so this is a presentation Better Together, research team collaboration and how you can work together on the with the different software as a team and individually too. So I'm Stacy Penna. I'm the Director of Customer Engagement Enablement at now Lumivero. So we were QSR and now we're Lumivero because they've combined 3 different companies into one, which is very exciting. And I've been using NVivo for a long time. I used it for my own dissertation way back at University of Massachusetts Lowell. I did obviously qualitative dissertation. I was in the School of Ed. And then after I graduated, I started working for QSR at that time, and I've been with the company for 10 years now, and always having fun talking to researchers. So now with Lumivero, the goal is really to help researchers with what they're calling the data landscape. So, how can we help you aggregate and collect your data, organize your data, analyze your data, report and present on your data, and then track what you need to too. So I like to, when I talk about using NVivo, just talk about all the different types of data you can bring in, because it can do a lot. So you can bring in PDFs, Word documents, images, social media. You can use bibliographical software. The one I'm going to show you today is Citavi, because that's part of our suite of products now. You can also, we have integration with Qualtrics and SurveyMonkey, Excel sheets, and also you can integrate with SPSS or really any statistical software if you need to. So today I'm going to be talking about working better together with Citavi, because both of these products you can work with colleagues on. And I wanted just to talk about how they're this different and where they sort of come together. They're complementary to each other. So Citavi is reference management and a writing tool. So it can help you with your lit review, organizing more of your secondary resources, where NVivo is meant to help you with your primary research, the data you're collecting, to help you analyze it through coding, do transcription and data visualization. But with NVivo 14 coming out very soon, there's already integration with Citavi, but there'll even be more integration. I'll show you what that looks like. So today I wanted to sort of talk about better together using these softwares together, but also talking about how you work as a team. So like I mentioned, I'll show how you can use Citavi for your reference management. Data collection is actually, well, I'm not going to show this, but we now have a partnership with a company called iTracks, which helps you actually collect data online, focus groups, interviews, any text chats and all that. And then data management, that's really NVivo's strength. And, obviously analyzing your data in NVivo, and then how to report. So you can use NVivo and Citavi when you start your writing. And then collaboration goes across both of these softwares. With NVivo 14, it'll be real-time collaboration, and it won't matter what, if you have somebody with Mac and somebody with Windows, it won't be an issue at all, which I know sometimes that can be a challenge for people. All right, so with that, I'm going to end the slideshow and go to first Citavi. So with Citavi, this is the desktop. We also have a web version of Citavi, and it's set up basically with 3 different tabs. So you have a reference tab, which allows you to import all the different references you have. You have a knowledge tab, which helps you basically organize your writing. So you can start creating a outline here based on what you're finding in the literature that you're reading. I think this is only reference management software that has this. It's very helpful. And then I'll show you, you can export this to a Word document to start writing. And then it has a task area where you can either as a team. So with a Citavi project, you can invite team members to be in it. Whether it's a desktop version or the cloud version, either one, you can have cloud projects. And so your team can work together on your lit review. So what I want to do is I'm going to go back to references and just show you what that looks like. And here, review. So I'm going to bring the PDF up. There it is. So what happens here, you can, with Citavi, you can easily import a couple different ways. You can go, so if I know a lot of people have different types of reference management software like EndNote, RefWorks, Zotero. You can actually import those projects into Citavi, so you don't have to start from scratch if you want to start using Citavi. You can import PDFs. Obviously, you can import from other sources. So if your organization, has a database like EBSCO or, there's a ton of them, you can actually go right into those and find articles and then import those into Citavi. So it's easy to import. Just because of time today, I'm not going to import anything because I already have articles in here, though you can also import from the web. So I have an example here. So I went to Google Scholar and you can see this little Citavi symbol here. So you could import from, a website to articles. So you just click on the Citavi symbol and it will import the document with all the metadata into Citavi also. Now, the power of Citavi is that you can, read through your articles. So I'm just going to make this a little bigger. I see there's some chat. Okay, so I just want to make this a little bigger so you can see it. So I have this article here and I can start going through it and deciding what I want to, tag here. And I can go and decide, do I want it to be a direct quote? Do I want it to be an indirect quote, a summary, a comment, and so on. So in this case, I'll just do an indirect quote. And it comes up here for me. And I could change this. So if I want, I don't want this part of it. I just want materials. Okay. So I can make sure that makes sense. Materials and methods. I can type my summary of or my paraphrasing of this. So this. And then I can actually add it to that outline that I showed you before. So I create this outline in Citavi, and then this is, I guess, about method. I'll just put it under methods. Maybe I'll put it under new category there. Click OK, and so on. I can also, for example, go to an image. So if I want to grab an image, I click on here, grab, outline the image I want to bring in. And then go to image quotation. And again, I can give it a description and add keywords if I want, and then go to categories, and I'll just add it to the same just so we see what's in it when I go back to the outline. And so on. And so I can go through as many articles as I want and start tagging and figuring out what's important in the literature that I need for my research. And then when I go to the knowledge tab and I go to new category, you can see this is the information that I had just tagged. And then what's great is now I have everything in one place in an outline that later I'm going to want to export to a Word document. Now the tasks, I can also use tasks to help organize myself or my team. So for example, I might want to go down to the actual, and there's different views here. So I'm in this view, but I can make it smaller for me. So it's easier for me to work too. It's easy to work in Citavi. So I could say, well, oh, I really want to read and find this article. So I can create a task for myself to go, go through bibliography or read this. And I can set a date when, I want to get this done by next week, and I can write notes to myself. I decide if it's what level of importance, and then I could even assign it to a colleague too, and say, okay, you need to read this on our team. Oh, I didn't. Yes, I did. And then when I go to tasks, I can see my tasks here. And then also I would see who they were assigned to if I had this as a collaborative project. So when I go to the knowledge tab, so I want to start working on my first draft of this project, the lit review I started. So I can right click and say export to Word. And just save it with the name. And so you can say the outlines here, but also Citavi has a word add-in. So if I click on Citavi there and I go to the Citavi pane, I can pick, this was the project I was in. So I can add to this Word document in a few ways. So I can go into, so let's say I want to go into, just want to find a place, governance. Sorry, just trying to, and then double click and it will come the information that was there. Oh, not a lot of information there. So let me go to knowledge. Here we go. So if I go governance, okay, this is the information. Sorry about that. So I'll add, and again, I don't have a ton. This would be more of your notes. So I can do it one at a time and start building out if I want to sort of control what I have in here, and it starts building that bibliography for me too. Or I can ask the software to do everything at once. So I'll do all categories at once. And I'll bring in everything that I had in that outline that I put into Citavi. So you can see I have a lot of images here as this demo project. And so on. So what's nice about this, you can start building a rough draft. You might figure out, oh, wow, I have some gaps here that I have to go back and read more information about. But it's, a quick way to start your writing. And let's go down to the bibliography, and you can see it's there. Now, Citavi has hundreds of bibliography citation styles. So, I'm using APA here, but let's say I could change it to this one. And you can see it not only changes the bibliography, it will change also how things are cited. So you don't have to worry about that. So that is Citavi, and now I want to go into NVivo. So I'm in our sample project right now. And for those of you who aren't familiar with NVivo, it's set up where you have your navigation view, the blue view here, where it helps you organize your data. So in the sample project, we have interviews, and I'll go to literature in a minute, social media. We have our coding structure. So in this case, they have codes already created because it's a mature project. So this is where you keep your codes. Cases are your units of analysis. So who or what you're studying. And these allow you to organize the participants in your study. So it's thinking. And then case classifications are, so you can see here my interview participants. here. And what's good about cases is you can bring all the data you have about a participant into the case. And so if I, for example, for my dissertation, I was studying teachers in middle school. I did 2 interviews with them. I went on an observation. I had artifacts. So for each teacher, I had all of that information in their case. And then I could assign demographic information to them. So for example, I have, in this case, it's around a community that's near water on the part of North Carolina. They're studying environmental changes on a coastal community. But so this is why I have this type of demographic information that's assigned to the cases. And then below you have your queries that you can do or do more analysis. So what I want to do now is just show you how you can work with Citavi and NVivo together. So I'm going to show you what you can do now, and then I'm going to go back to the PowerPoint and show you what the integration is going to be like with NVivo 14. So here I'm going to go to import, and you can import from different bibliographical software, but I'm going to go to Citavi and go to my desktop. And here's the project we were working on, environmental change. I like to do this as author and year, publication, and I want to put it in my literature folder. And I'll import. So it's importing the articles that I had in Citavi. So these were the articles I had in Citavi, so I can open it up and start working in them in NVivo. It also brings in all that metadata I had too. So if I go to references here, these are the articles, and it's going not only have it's going to have what was in Citavi that had come in when I imported the articles in Citavi. So it's a journal article, the date of publication, the authors, and so on. It also brings in any in notes or memos. I forgot to mention memos, which are very important when you're doing qualitative research. So it'll also bring in any notes you had in Citavi or the abstract or keywords that came in as a memo. Here you can see that. Now with NVivo 14, that will be coming out shortly. I just want to show you the integration. All right, so I'm going to go to the slideshow. And so with what will happen is that in the home ribbon, there'll be a place when you go to import where add from Citavi. And in Citavi, there'll be a place that export from Citavi into NVivo. And when that comes in, what happens is you can pick which Citavi project that I want to have come into NVivo. And I can decide, do I want all the articles from Citavi or some of them coming into Citavi, to NVivo. And then once you pick, you'll pick the, and this is the organizer. So this is your outline. So you can also decide what comes in from that outline, because all this outline information that I showed you in Citavi will become codes. And so there'll be a special folder called Citavi, and all the information in the outline, the knowledge organizer categories, will come into NVivo as codes. And those will actually be linked to the articles too. So I just wanted to show you what that looks like. And then going back to NVivo. Now, so that's integration. There will also be, with NVivo 14, like I mentioned, you will be able to work on the same project. So, and I don't have it here, but when you go to share, there'll be an area that will allow you to upload an NVivo project into the cloud, and then you'll be able to invite your colleagues to go work in that project. And so you'll be working on your desktop in NVivo, they'll be working on their desktop in NVivo, but you'll be able to work in real time on the project and see what your colleagues have done. So for example, it'll be basically everything I'm showing you. It's just that you'll be able to see it as you work in the project together. So you won't have to merge projects anymore to see how people code. Also, if your colleagues have a Mac, that's okay. They'll be working in the same project as you are. If you have, like for me, I have a Windows, a PC here. So a couple things to show you in NVivo that you can use individually or with the team. So I always like, just in case there's people that haven't seen the software before, I just want to open up a transcript here and just start coding it, because it's very easy to code in NVivo. And I'm going to create a folder so you can see how I'm building. So these are my demo codes, just so I know they're different from the codes in the sample project. So I have my folder there. So I can just start reading Barbara's interview here, and I can start deciding what I want to code. So she's talking about her elementary school here. So I can right click. One way to code is I tend to right click a lot in NVivo, and I'll call it and then when I go to codes, and I should ask in the chat, is there oh, I know why I went into code. Sorry, I have to move it now. So here it is, elementary school. So if there are any types of data that you collect that you want me to show you how to code on, let me know. I'm happy to be specific to your needs. So one nice thing about NVivo, it does allow you to cut, copy, paste codes and put them in a structure that makes sense to you. So in this case, I don't want it in this folder, so I'm going cut and go to demo codes and paste. So everything comes in. So I could keep going through Barbara's interview. I could, let me know if anyone, let me just go, if anybody playing the chat, if there's anything, video, audio I can show, I'll show for interviews here. So I have Helen's audio file. So you can see here, I can, import an audio file, play it in NVivo. You can see it's playing there. You just can't hear it. I can have the transcript underneath it. So there's a couple ways to do transcription in NVivo. So one way is I can go to edit here and go to transcribe mode and then play. And as I'm hearing them talk, it's like a transcription machine. I can type in, what they're saying, and so on. Now I can also use, we have a module, NVivo transcription. And so this is an additional product, but it does integrate with NVivo. And I'm sorry, I should have oh, okay, maybe I'm signed in. So I can add the files. So I want to add Helen's audio here. Okay. And it will upload, and it does transcribe in 27 different languages. And it takes about half the time of the transcription, the audio file. So if you have a 60-minute audio file, it'll take 30 minutes or less to transcribe. So I'd put English and I would go to transcribe. Just because of time, I'm going to go to NVivo transcription here. So it is a web-based app. Yeah, I'm sorry, I have to. All right, so it's bringing me into my NVivo transcription account, and the transcripts will come up in a second. So, I have Helen's audio here. I would, and when you do it in NVivo, so you can do it in the app itself or use NVivo, it's either or. And you can see here, it would have taken me to this transcript so I can edit it. So I've already added speakers' names here. But what's neat is I can actually follow along, so I can play And you can see the orange, it's following the voice along, and I could slow down or speed up the tape. What I do sometimes, you do have to edit. It's not perfect, but you can do find and replace, and has a dictionary. But you can see here, I made comments about, oh, she laughed. Yeah, or I can delete things if I want, and so on. And then you can always export this to a Word document, but when you're in NVivo, what will happen is it will say, import into NVivo, and then what you have is what you have here, the time stamps, the content, but you also have the speaker names here too. And then with audio, you can always code right on the text here, but you can also code a couple different ways with the audio file. So if I go to audio, I could play here. And you can see it's playing. And then when I want to code on the audio, I can click on this little button, or it has the shortcuts there, like F12 to stop. And then I can code this also into the code. So when I open up the code elementary school, it has so I have Barbara's interview, the audio here, and I'll see the text. So if I want to see just text, it's there. If I want to see the audio, I can play back this part. For coding. And then you can do the same thing with video, so I won't show you that. You can also, I just want to show images because like working with images. So like with photo voice or different methods when you're using images. So you can import images, and you can actually have a log here. So the log could be based on your thoughts or what you're seeing an image, or maybe you had a participant talk about the image. And so I can, pick areas. So if I want to talk about the nets here, I can do that, right click in the square and insert a row. And then you can see it's covering the pixel range here. Now I can also code on this. So I can also code on the image. And again, I'll bring that into that code. Oops, sorry, didn't do it. Let me do that again. I'll do image, drag and drop, put it in. Okay, now it did it. And so now you can see that I have a picture tab and showing me what was coded on the picture. And if I'd coded the log, it would have been there too. The last thing I want to show you to bring in before I get into showing what it looks like when you work as a team is I want to import a survey, because this is very powerful tool with NVivo. Okay, so let's see what analysis. Oh yeah, I think you could definitely bring that into NVivo, the lyrics. Okay, import, and I'm going to go to survey. You can see you can export Qualtrics or SurveyMonkey, but I have an Excel sheet with my, just need to go to my data. Surveys, and I'll do the sample survey. And so we have a survey wizard here. So I can, my respondents are going to become cases in the survey. My closed-ended questions are become attributes. My open-ended questions, codes. And it's going to show me what the survey will look like when it comes into NVivo. So I'm just going to keep it as survey respondents. And it asked me to check what's an open-ended or closed-ended question. I am going to auto-coded themes and sentiment, so I'll show you how you can auto-code in NVivo. And so it's going through a checklist for me. So with auto-coding, I tend to use it at the beginning of a project, like when I bring in my data, just to see what's sort of across all the data to get a sense. It's not meant to replace your own coding. And then maybe at the end of a project, I'll do auto coding again for themes, just see, did I miss anything? Or is there something that, the software picked up that I didn't see? And then you can pick and choose what you want to bring into your own coding. So it always keeps the coding, auto coding, the NVivo does in a separate folder from your own coding. So it's just doing some, it just takes a little longer because of the algorithm here. Let me just see if the questions.
So Lumivero is the company that now develops NVivo and Citavi. So so the software is different from the company. So you can bring in, and I'll show you in a minute how you can work with references in oh, let me close that, in NVivo to do some text searching and things. Can you show music lyric analysis? So can you describe, if you can unmute yourself too, Mariana, if what you mean, like, is it sheet music or is it audio or maybe both?
I was thinking of audio music.
Uh-huh.
So you have an audio tape and you're looking to analyze the language for themes to use in as an intervention or something.
Yeah, you can definitely do that. So you could do the audio. Sorry, NVivo just sort of got tired on me. I was doing other webinars before this. Yes, you could definitely do that. So you could bring in the audio and like I showed, you could play it, and you could, so you don't have to so instead of a transcription, maybe you add your own thoughts about the music, or different ideas, or maybe if you said it was an intervention, I don't know if it's with students, what's happening with them when they're listening. I don't know. There's all kinds of things you could do with that.
Yeah. No, there's lots of things to do. And I'm just like, how to organize it. So this is another alternative to organization. So thank you.
Yes, definitely. Okay, sorry about that. And I don't know if the survey came in. Let me see. Let me go. I think the survey is already here. Yeah. So the survey came in. So this is what it looks like when a survey comes in. So it has the open-ended responses here, and the demographic, and then the closed-ended responses become attributes for your classifications. Let me just go to codes. And so you have the auto-coded responses here. So these are based, so that's interview question. These are the survey questions. So all the open-ended responses, that information went into these codes. So that way you don't have to code all this yourself. It's all right here and it's organized. But then whether you're working with PDF articles, like for a lit review, or if you're working with interviews, another strength of NVivo is you can explore your data in different ways. So for example, I could do a word frequency query, and I could, again, do this with anything with text. So I'm just going, in this case, pick my interviews, but I could also do the lit review if I wanted to, both. And I can do exact matches or STEM words, and I'll run the query. And so it's showing me the 100 most frequently used words. There is a stop word list, so I can add words if I want to that. And there's a few visuals it will give you. It'll give you a word cloud. And the word cloud, when it pops up, the larger the word, the more often it's used in the interviews. And so that's sometimes fun to see. And it might jumpstart your coding too, when you see, some of those words that pop up. So you can see here, so one word that's larger is water. So not surprising, they were interviewing people in coastal communities talking about environmental changes. So I want to see, what did people talk about with water? So I can run a text search right from the word cloud. So it's showing me all these interviews, people mentioned water. I could actually go to the reference tab and actually see what they said about water. I can do a word tree here. So it's showing me the 5 words before and after water. And sometimes that tells you a story. Like, I think water, might be down here. So one thing that stands out is they're talking about water quality. So I can dig deeper and go, okay, well, I want to run a text search on water quality. What are they saying about that? So it's going to show me what the different sources say about water quality. Now, this is just telling me the 5 words before and after water quality. So I might want to ask the software to broaden the context, so I get more like the paragraph around those 2 words. So I get some context. So now the software's done a lot of work for me. So instead of me
coding everything myself about water quality, I can save the results as a code. So just so you can see where it is, I'll put it in yeah, oh no, now I'll put it in codes. Okay, codes, and I'll call it water quality. And when I go to my codes, you'll see it's listed here. So again, it can help jumpstart some of your analysis. I'll also just quickly go show you what the auto coding looks like. And again, you don't have to do this, but it is a way to sort of look across your data. So you identifying themes, or I could do identifying sentiment. We have use existing coding patterns. So if I've coded, maybe like a third of my interviews, it will sort of learn how you're coding and code the rest. I'll go next, and it's going to go through all my interviews here. It's an algorithm looking at noun and noun phrases. And it's starting to create that hierarchy for me. I can decide, do I want to code sentences or paragraphs? I'll just stick with sentences. And you can see it's saving it in a separate folder, so it won't be in your own coding. And it'll give me a couple of visuals to look at too. So it's giving me a hierarchical chart. So the top code here and then the subcodes, I could always look at it. Now I can even click on these squares and get to the coding itself if I wanted to. And then also gives me a chart. So these are all the interviews that were coded. And then I can see the different codes it's come up with in the heat map. And this might help me, like, oh, fishing, that seems interesting. People are talking about fishing. So maybe I want to look at that across. It also can create a chart for me. So that's a lot with different ways to code and look at your data. Now, I want to show you some queries that will help you dig deeper into your coding too. But wait, before I do this, I want to show you memos. So you can create memos very easily. And a lot of times you have, like this one, they're comparing codes, balance versus mixed feelings. They have a protocol memo. A lot of times this becomes a big part of your analysis process. You're doing your coding and then you're thinking about, oh, well, what about these codes? Oop, I need to edit there. And then I can start typing my thoughts. I can insert a date time stamp, which I always tend to do to organize myself. So and so on. So, and this gets saved, and you can and when I think what's great with NVivo 14, you can collaborate together. You'll be able to write memos together too. And then for exploring, we have different queries that look across your data. So one is a matrix coding query, and this is going to be really a powerful query. So in this case, I want to look at different codes. So I want to compare what people said about the economy, what I coded for the natural environment. Was there, any overlap in that? Okay, and then I'll run this, and it's going to create a table for me. And so it's showing me the coding references. I can do a heat map. And so this might help me think of differently about my data, environmental change. And then there was a lot of overlap with fishing and agriculture. Okay, interesting. What does that say? And I can actually get to the codes here by double clicking. I can create a chart like this view. Anything in NVivo can be exported, so you could put this in a report. The chart you could actually export to, and we do have that integration with
Sorry, let me export the chart. With SPSS. So I could do in a spreadsheet or in an SPSS format if I wanted to do more quantitative type of analysis. So that's one query. And you can always save these queries and go back to them, like if you have new coding you've done. Another type of query that can be helpful is, picked the wrong one. So I don't want to do that one. I want to do a crosstab. So a crosstab query, similar to the matrix query, but you're going to use those attributes. Oh, sorry, I don't know why I keep picking the wrong one. Let me try this one more time. Crosstab, there it is. So I'm going again, pick those codes under economy. And the attributes here. So I'm going to age group. So, you know, how did different age groups talk about the economy different? So I'll go to coding references and do the heat map again. So again, and I could even add another layer here and see, were they in different, was there a difference between people that said they were from different townships, for example. So I did it by age range by different townships, if that's helpful. And then you can always create a chart too, or you could export the spreadsheet. Now, if you're working as a team, there's some good queries. So one of the queries is a coding comparison query. And for this, I have an example. So let me go down. So in this case, we're looking at 3 researchers and how they coded to get that coding comparison. So we're getting the kappa coefficient, agreement, and disagreement percentage. My understanding with kappa is that the closer to 1 you are, the more agreement you have. So I'll go to one that has less agreement to see what that looks like. So I have the coders by initials here. So I can see WWS coded this section, HGP coded this section, and EDR coded this section. So again, we might need to talk as a research team that we're going code to the end of sentences or end of paragraphs so that we're being consistent to see that. But what's going to be nice with NVivo 14, you can see this in real time and like do what we're doing, be on a Zoom call even, and talk about it because you'll see what people coded in the same project, so you won't have to merge anymore. Another way to see how people have coded is if I go right to an interview. So I'll just open up Barbara's interview. And I'll use coding stripes here. So I'll go to selected items and go to users. And so the people in bold, that means they've coded in this interview. And so I can see here, like if I click on EDR, I can see everywhere where EDR coded, and then WWS look like they coded everything. So we might have to talk about that and so on. So there's ways you can work together as a team and see what people are coding in real time. So any other questions or anything you wanted me to show you that I haven't? This point, I do have a few slides at the end. Another way to create visuals, and sometimes this can be helpful as a team too, is to create these types of maps. So we have a couple different ones. One is what's called a mind map. So when you create a new one, this is blank, think of it as a whiteboard, and then you can bring in, ideas and make comments. In this case, they started creating their coding structure here. So again, you could do it as a team together. And if you did do it as a coding structure, you can actually create these as your codes. It will create the outline. It won't code for you, but the outline of the codes. Another one is a concept map. So if you're seeing in your data that you sort of want to tell a story visually, you can actually bring in
in this case, you can bring in project items, which they did here. These are codes, and in the software, if you click on the code, it'll take you to the code. Everything's connected. And you can see they brought in shapes to talk about what they were seeing in the data. And then the last type of map is a project map. So again, you can bring in project items and sort of look at them visually and see, maybe tell a story of what you're seeing in your data. So again, lots of ways to work with it. Oh yeah, no problem. Thank you. So, well, I'll show you one other thing that I don't know if everyone knows about NVivo, which I think is a pretty good type of report. It's a framework matrix, and I'm just going to create one. Oops, sorry, I forgot to go to rows and add things. Select. So in this case, I want to select some cases that I'm working with. So I'm going to go here, and I'm going not bring everyone, but I'll bring in like 4 people. And I could even add like attributes. So I want to see the people that lived in a certain township, for example. And then here I can select the codes I want to see. So I'm just going to check economy again. Click OK. And go. So it's going to create a table for me. It's like a spreadsheet. And so it has the codes, and then it'll put in everything that Barbara said about agriculture or fishing. But to do that, I need to oops, sorry, I'm trying to find it. I think it's because this is so big. I have to summarize it. Sorry about this. I'm forgetting. Oh, that's a bummer. But you can see here what's coded, but what it will come in here. Okay, well, I did something wrong, but it basically what I'll do is I'll bring all the coding it has in Barbara into it, and then you can export it as a spreadsheet. And I do this quite often, so I'm not sure what I did there. Madeline, where can we learn about all that you're showing? I'm new to NVivo. Sure. So I'll show you a couple of places. So let me go back to my PowerPoint. So one thing is we do have, I'll share the PDF. I'll try to put it in the chat when I stop sharing. I believe I can create this as a PDF and share with you, but it has these links, so you can go here for free resources to learn NVivo. We have academy courses that are very helpful, and they're not expensive, and you work with a trainer too. They are asynchronous online courses, but there's a webinar part to them too that you can talk with a trainer. Here are the webinar series we're doing. We just had one earlier today on mixed methods using NVivo. It was very popular. It was a great turnout. Oh, and we have Ron, who's going to do a webinar with his colleagues next week with us too. And just to give you a sense of all the different ways we can help you with your research process. So I showed you Citavi today for lit review. iTracks, I mentioned that partnership we have to help you collect data online. NVivo transcription, I showed you. NVivo itself, NVivo collaboration, which is going to have a new version of it coming up soon, much better because it's real-time collaboration. Citavi to help you write, as you saw, and then learning journeys where you have your courses here. But we do have another way to learn NVivo. We have a new Lumivero community, which is encompasses all our softwares now, but it does have under resources a section on NVivo. It's free, and we have ways like how do I import in NVivo, how do I work as a team, and so we have a combination of short videos and then also trainers showing you how to do that. So feel free, I'll put the link in the chat too. And the idea, we have more webinars. I have a podcast you can listen to. I interview qualitative researchers. We'll have a virtual conference in September, and we do have our grant that will be announced at the conference, and then it'll be in March 2024 where we assign people or tell people who won. So we're doing our own research. We have Dr. Solana DiGregorio. Some of you might know her. She's our qualitative product research director, and she's doing a survey too. So, to learn more about how people are working online these days with their research. So if you don't mind, I'm going to put that in the chat if people have time to take that, that'd be great. And I'll put a few more things in the chat too. So I'll just stop sharing for a second so I can see people, or if people have questions. See if I can more about needed to merge projects. Okay, web-based feature doubled. So since NVivo 14 isn't out yet, yes, I'll talk about how to merge, but this, what I'm showing you will all be going away, which will be great. And I just want to share a few more other things in the chat, like joining the Lumivero community so you can get to the resources. So let me do that, and then I'll go back into NVivo. And also the free webinars. And yeah, and feel free to unmute yourself too if you have any questions. So let me go back into NVivo and I'll share my screen again. Okay. Okay, to merge projects. So if how I explain this, I said, so let's say there's 3 of us working on an NVivo project on our team. You want one person to be in charge of the NVivo project, so a project manager, and that person would make the first project. They would, you know, maybe start importing your data. Maybe they start creating some codes and the cases. And then what they would do is they would need to go and copy the project. And when you copy it, just would want to give it a different name, like the initials of the person you're sending it to. And like you can do with our current collaboration cloud here, you can, you know, you would upload it into a cloud, some way to share it. So, you know, I know people sometimes use SharePoint or Dropbox, but no matter what, when you use those tools, you always want to download it first onto your desktop and then open it up in NVivo. And so all 3 of us would be working in our projects, coding. And then when we're ready to see how everyone coded, we would have to send the projects back to the project manager, and then they would go to import and go to project. Yeah. And I would browse and go find the projects of my colleagues and then import them into this project. So you'd have to do it twice for both of the other people. And then basically you have like a new project. And that's when you can do the, you know, see the coding stripes I showed you, do the coding comparison query. I forgot to show you, you can also export a code book. So this can be handy. I'm not going to do all the codes. And so this will, you know, create a code book, which can be helpful if you're working as a team too, because you then, as long as when you create codes, you give them a description, you'll have that, and you can see what you decided on with your codes. So hopefully that answered that question. I'm just looking at other questions. In the user, does the NVivo user mean things that were automatically coded? Patrick, I'm not sure if can you explain that your question a little bit more?
Yeah, when looking in the user view for like the coded stripes or whatever, one of them just came up as like NVivo. I was just wondering if that was like an automatic reset, or if that was something that came through automatic coding.
That was because it was automatic coding, so you could do your own coding and then do the NVivo automatic coding. I don't know if I picked that one. Let me see if I did. I can go back. So let me do it again. So yeah, that was actually the NVivo coding. So because I'm SP. And so that was based on the if I did auto coding. So I know, oh, here, I think that's the MVP, this one that's showing up. Yeah. So yeah, you could do that and see what it did in the coding, and maybe that's a way to, in a different way, do triangulation or compare your coding with the softwares. Do I need to document aspect references? Do we use NVivo still? Okay, so yeah, so I think I explained, so I could show, the same stuff I did with interviews. You could also, oh, I see, yeah, didn't come in. I don't have the literature now, but yeah, you could do the same thing with your literature. So that's the power. So if you use Citavi and NVivo together, especially with a new integration with NVivo 14, you'll have the coding of your literature. So I mean, this is what I did with NVivo before we had all this, these features, is I actually used NVivo for my lit review. So I wasn't able to import at that time from EndNote like you can now, or Citavi. And I was able to, but I did make notes about what I was reading in NVivo, and then I coded on that. So I had, what the expert said right next to my own coding. So then when I went to write my findings, I actually combined a lot of that. So I created a folder for my findings and actually brought in what I thought was important, like, the economy codes, and then what the experts in my lit review had said about the economy. And so I was able to sort of mix and match, because what's great about great about NVivo is you can actually code on a code. So I already had my coding done here, but when I went to go and talk more about the concept of phishing, I was able to, create a new node if I wanted to. What I call it, phishing concepts. I was able to take what I thought was important from my own coding, and then based on what I had in my literature review coding, I'd put that here too. So I would have, what basically the people in that field were talking about next to what I found. And that just made it really a lot easier for me to then write, because what you can do is you can export to export code, and I'm going to do it to a Word document and click OK. And then this became a lot of what I did to do my writing for my dissertation. My computer's being slow today. Normally that does not take, this takes 2 seconds normally. And then once I have in a Word document, I can actually now use Citavi, the Word add-in, and add the citations I need in bibliography based on what I did in NVivo. I'm sorry, I actually asked for my IT for a new computer yesterday. It's old. Oh, I see another question. Oh, okay. Any other questions? All right, well, we're almost at time anyway. So what I can do is I can try to quickly, not that if you want some of the links, I'll save this as a PDF. And put it in the chat for you. Nope, sorry. I'll have to send it to, it doesn't look like I'd have to log into SharePoint. Oh, maybe it's no. Okay, I'll send it to Adam and he'll send it to you guys, or make it available. I think he did that last year too.
Yeah, that's not a problem.
Thanks. So any other questions? Feel free to unmute yourself or type them.
Well, thanks, Adam.
Thank you, Stacy. And to everyone that's still here, like Stacy mentioned, we'll post a recording of this on our website. It'll be shared through our social media channels as well. And any documents that go along with it, you'll be able to find on our site by early next week. And it'll be emailed out to all of you.
Great. Thanks, everyone. Have a good
Have a
conference.
good day, Stacy. Thank you.
Yeah, bye.